Hey everybody, Jess Intuitive Angel Healer here with your Grounded. Thank you so much for joining our podcast today and welcome to another episode of Dancing in the Toxic Shadows, finding empowerment and hope through the toxicity. This is a podcast that features an empowered soul swim through the toxic waters of life and how they found the courage, strength, and blind faith used to obtain the life they truly want to live, and how they encourage others to take that same leap of faith, no matter if they can see the first two steps or not. Today, welcome our very special guest, Mia Bolden, and she is from Pensacola, Florida. Hi, Mia. How are you?
Hey, I am great, Jess. How are you?
I am doing well today. It's Friday and it's a peaceful, nice day. It's not snowing here in Colorado, so you don't have that problem, I'm sure, in Florida.
No,
If you do, there
no.
is a problem.
Right, right.
Mia is a business mentor and a women's empowerment coach, motivational speaker, entrepreneur, and a fitness coach as well. You're like me. You're a woman of many different hats, but you have
Yes.
an awesome backstory of how you got here, because that's what the whole point of this podcast is to give hope to those that are
Mhm,
currently in the struggle and may not quite be out of it yet, or for anybody who's been a part of the struggle and in the toxicity, and how
mhm.
if you really want to change your life, no amount of darkness can hold you back from it. And so without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to you. If you can just tell us a little bit about yourself, your age, where you're from, and a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to say thank you so much for having me here. I really do appreciate this. I love this platform that you have. I am all about empowering women. I am all about motivating and helping women believe in themselves. And I really believe that that's what your podcast is doing. So I'm super excited to be here. And I just want to say thank you so much again for having me on here.
You're so welcome.
Um, Yes. So, I mean, I don't know. Where do I begin with my story? It's such a story. Let's see. So I'm 40 now. I'll be 41 this year in June. I grew up between Pensacola, pretty much Pensacola, Florida, all of my life. I had some years growing up in Hawaii as well as North Carolina. My mother is Hawaiian, so I have family that's out there as well. And I grew up between North Carolina. Um, I spent maybe 10, 11 years in North Carolina, and I've been back in Pensacola. I said I'd never come back to Pensacola, and that was 11 years ago. So I always tell people never say never. You never know where your future is going to bring you. But
Very
I
true.
am just like you. Yes, just like you mentioned, I own a women's vertical pole fitness studio. I am also an empowerment business coach as well as motivational speaker. And I always say, if you would have told the Mia in her 20s that she would be the Mia sitting before you right now, Mia would be like, "Shut up! Like you're so lying. Who is that? Yeah, no,
What I love is that you can show people, hey, it doesn't matter the environment you come from, the people you're around. It just matters that, you understand you don't have to do bad in order to survive, because a lot of people think they have no other way. He was a rapper and he was about to
right?
rob someone.
Uh
Hey,
huh,
Trick Daddy, I think it was Trick Daddy, and he was about to go
uh
rob
huh.
someone. And as he was putting the bullets in the gun to go rob someone because he was broke, his song came on. Sorry, I got chills. His
No,
song
I
came
hear.
on the
Yeah.
radio, and that's the thing that I like about your story is it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter what your background was, what you did in your 20s. It doesn't matter. It matters about what you're doing now in this present moment.
Absolutely, girlfriend. I do agree with you on that. And I love some Trick Daddy. You know, he's from Florida too. So I do. So
He's
I do
crazy.
love.
I'm
He
very
is a
random,
nut.
by the way, and I'm a
Right.
Pisces, so
It
I listen to
was.
everything.
Right. I love that when people like name drop on people that I'm like, you know about that person? Like
Yeah,
I
you
never
don't
thought
even
you would
know.
even
I
say
might come up with a
that.
Christian band next, and then
That
rock
is
and go
me,
all the way down to
girl.
country. So
That is me all day long. I could be listening to hardcore rap and then turn on some country or Christian music. So I get it. So yeah, so I can definitely tell you more about that and how I kind of transitioned. So I will tell you in my kind of preteen teen area is when I kind of started my off the chain journey, as I like to say. I come from a biracial background. My mother is Hawaiian Chinese. My biological father is Black. My stepfather, who's been my dad since I was 5 years old, so that's my father. That's the only dad that I know. He's Filipino. So growing up, I grew up in a Hawaiian, Chinese, and Filipino background. Well, if you look at me, anybody who looks at me, they just look at me, identify me as a Black woman. So right around most of my life, I was okay with it. And right around my preteens, teenage years, that's when I was trying to find myself, if you will. And I started hanging out with just like the wrong crowds. I just started hanging out with crowds I shouldn't have been around, and doing things that I shouldn't have been doing. And really, honestly, when I was in my preteens, teens, I wasn't like horribly bad. Yes, I snuck out, but I snuck out to go to the skating ring. Like I mean, I would do like random stuff like that. And I had my past where I shouldn't have done some things. Well, I was very fortunate that I do have a part of my family that is multiracial as well. They're Hawaiian, and that side of their family is Black, so they're Hawaiian and Black. So that's my family in North Carolina. And so my mother sent me up there to go stay with them right when I was around 13, 14. I fell in love with it. I just felt like I was finding more of my identity or whatever. Um, but at that point, one of my cousins, very close cousins, he was a very big drug dealer. And at that point, I was still young. So I knew what he did. We all knew what he did as a family, but I never engaged in it at that time. Well, I turned 18 and I was just really trying to find myself. I moved back to Florida, turned 18, trying to find myself, was ready to get out of Pensacola. And so I moved back to North Carolina. Well, when I moved up there, of course, I didn't have a job. I was kind of restarting over, and I had this opportunity to sell drugs with my cousin. Um, and so, of course, I did it. And when I say drugs, and I know that, and I tell everybody that I know that some people there's like a harder drug or a not so bad drug, but it was weed that I sold. So I just don't want people, and not saying it was right, but I wasn't out here like
No, but
smoking
that's a
crack. I mean,
big
selling
difference.
crack or yes, I wasn't selling like, but I was not. Like I stayed in my comfort zone, and that's what it was. So yeah, so I sold, and I made great money. I can honestly say that my cousin, was living that fast life, that life that a lot of, a lot of people just get attracted to: fast cars, big money. He had great connections with people that were in Mexico. I mean, it was a beautiful thing. I was the girl that you literally would come to for 25, 50 pounds. And at 22 years old, that was like a dream, to be honest with you, that I could take care of myself, my friends. I didn't have to work. Even though I did, I still always had this hustling mentality in me. So I did bartend and wait tables. But just like you mentioned earlier, I was always looking over my shoulder. That is one thing that I remember more than anything is when I would get in the car, when somebody would knock on the door, when I was like walking randomly because I knew that they were watching my cousins. Are they watching me? Who is this? That is something that I will say that stood out a lot, and I don't miss at all, was always watching my back. So I did that pretty much in my 20s. And I can't say that and I say this not advising anybody to do it, but I can't say that I was crying a big, poor me. It was so horrible. It was kindly all right at the time until everybody started going to jail around me. And that's just when things really started getting real. My cousins, because it wasn't just him, but my cousins that we were all running with, they started one by one going to jail. Then my cousin, who I was getting the main thing, he went to jail. I was always watching my back. I was getting pulled over. I started getting questioned. And at that point, I was like, yeah, this is no fun. So in all of that, I don't think I mentioned this. I ended up dating a guy. He was a big drug dealer as well. And that was a toxic relationship. I would say it wasn't so much physical abuse. It was definitely mental abuse, emotional abuse, which was calling me every name in the book, making me feel like I wasn't good enough, was cheating on me repeatedly, and I would still take him back. I could go on and on about that. And so, but yeah, so my cousin went to jail. Me and my fiance, he had proposed to me at this time. He had asked, would I marry him? I caught him cheating again in the home that we stayed in with somebody else as we're engaged. So I was like, so I really had a mental breakdown at that point because I wasn't selling drugs anymore. My marriage was, or my relationship was over. I didn't have any money, and I was like, what the fudge am I going to do? At that point is when I moved back to Pensacola. I made that phone call a lot of people don't want to make, and it's, Mom, I got to come home at 30 years old. I'm the oldest out of my siblings, so I really felt like as a failure, if you will. And so, yeah, so I moved back home, and that's when I kind of started my journey ish of getting to where I am now.
I can really relate to that journey because when my story is colorful. I always tell
Yeah.
people I've never had a bad life. I had a good parts of my life. I've just had an interesting life. I thought, that was a really cool part and like, wow, how did I ever live past that? And when I was almost 19, I had somebody knock on my door because my angels didn't want me to go down that same path. So at
Mm-hmm.
18 years old, I was almost 19 and I had a girl knock on my door and she's like, I want you to come sell magazines with me. I was like, hey, why not? So I picked up my stuff in Albuquerque and I rolled out and I sold magazines for 6 years. And that's what saved me because all those people that's how the universe works. Because I always told anyone, whoever comes and gives me a ticket out of here, I'm out. I'm done because y'all
Right.
people are, I don't know, because I was hanging around because I was sad. I was 17 living,
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was going to live with this guy and he became a mental case, like a seriously checked in mental case.
Yeah.
I learned how to deal with a bipolar person at 17 and it was too much. So I thought when I hung around all these people, I thought it was cool. It was something to do. It was never
Mm-hmm.
like
Right.
my career. I never said, hey, I'm going to live this lifestyle because, like you said, in your 20s, you're just going through what do I do? That's why I don't really
Right.
coach people that are in their 20s because you know what? You don't need to know what you're going to do. Like maybe I'll talk to you past 27, but
Right.
before that, I'm just inserting all of my things into your life. And that's why I feel when you're that age, just go make a lot of mistakes and
Mm-hmm.
try to not make them too much where they're
Right.
irreversible, but go and make those mistakes because when you sit here at 40, you're going to be going, wow, my angels really loved me because I'm still here and I'm not in
Yes.
jail. And you had that and it's really when it's family, it's really hard not to,
It
but
is.
for some
Yes.
reason I look at it and I'm like, wow, they made sure anytime I ever was going to get involved in it, a big door shut down. They're like, nope, you were not going to sell nothing. You can partake and have fun, but you cannot be them because it's like a karmic lesson kind of thing. But I want to high five you for stepping away from it because that's the hard thing is toxic relationships are hard to step away from there. It's almost like this is the way that I can when you're around stuff like that, it's like you're in a trance and this energy
Mm-hmm.
is over you and it's like the same energy I feel that Eve had to have had to pick that apple. Okay, like
Right.
you're in a trance because you think
Right.
I need this thing. I'm gonna have this thing and this thing, and you make up this whole world. And in
Mm-hmm.
reality, that thing's bad. It's toxic. It's poison. Don't ingest that into your body. And what did she do? She ate the apple, and here we
Right.
are. So,
Exactly.
but I want to ask you, what does a self-care routine look like for you every day now that to keep your mind, body, and soul balanced since your experience in the toxic shadows? Because that's the thing is you can always move away from it, but it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter because those people if you try to run from your demons, guess what, they're going to like multiply and be surrounded in the richest area you'll ever you could live in. And so it doesn't matter, it matters if you conquered those. So how do you look to self-care to keep yourself like, hey, Mia's never going to go back down that route again?
Right, right. Well, I will tell you one thing. Thank you for letting me know about or giving me the compliment there. I do tell people all the time that the very beginning step is to remove yourself from the situation. Just like how you did, you had to go and sell the magazines. It was kind of like with me, I always feel, and I tell people this, I'm not here to preach to you. I believe in my man upstairs, higher universe, whomever, but there's always these signs and different things that happen to us to look out for us, but it's either us to choose to do it or to not do it. Like for you, it was either your choice to go and sell the magazines or to not. For me, it was like either, okay, you can go home or you can stay here doing the same thing. So definitely I tell people as the very first step is to remove yourself as much as you possibly can and to work on that mental state. It did take me a second to actually get to the point where I do work on myself on a daily basis. But I have learned over the years is I do every morning, I have a very strong morning routine, which just like I said, if you would have talked to me in my 20s, I'd have been like, yeah, my morning routine is to wake up at 11 and roll over and probably smoke a blunt. I'm just being honest with you. You know, I mean, like that was just like the real deal. But now I'm like, I tell people all the time, you have to take care of yourself first. First of all, I do get up early. I do take my man upstairs. That's the first thing I do before I'll still, my eyes are closed, but as soon as I hear the alarm, I'm like, thank you, my man. That's what I say. Just waking up in the morning. I'm huge on affirmations. So I do listen to my affirmations in the morning, or I just say them to myself if there's nothing around for me to listen to. And then I'm big on meditation. I never in my life thought that I would meditate. One of my chapters in my book is Black people don't meditate because I never thought, I was like, Black people don't meditate. We go to church and we pray about it and we just keep going. But when I tell you meditation has been one of the hugest things that has changed my life, it really helps me focus on my mindset and to listen to the answers. And I always tell people, in my definition, the difference between prayer and meditation is prayer is the time for you to talk to your higher power, talk to God, and meditation is the time for you to listen, to be still and listen. And I really felt that by just being still and a lot of stuff was able to like get into my head, new ideas and just the reassurance that there's a higher power that has my back. And, you know, just all of these things happen during meditation, which I love. Never thought I'd say that. So I do that in the morning. And then I also, you know, reading my Bible. So if whether, you know, whatever it is, reading something inspirational, I tell people in the morning. So I always make sure that I start my day off right. And then always focus on working towards something. So I think that keeps a lot of people something positive and put that out there. Having goals down. And I know that we've heard it. I say that all the time, but how many people actually really write them down, keep them before them and look at them often. And I always make sure that I have something that's motivating me, that's kind of challenging me and keeping me focused to not go back to old school Mia. And it's like, nope, I got a lot of stuff to do on day and selling drugs and going to jail is not on the menu for today, you know. So I keep focused doing that and then keeping my why just as big as I can, which is to empower women, whether it's here at my studio or whether it's through my coaching, to believe in themselves, because that's really what was my transformation point, is just having my mentors believe in me to keep me going even when I didn't believe in myself. And I was like, there's no way I can do that. I can't start my business. Nobody will listen to me when I'm on stage. I'm not smart enough for that. I didn't graduate high school. I didn't go to college, you know, and my mentors were like, yes, da 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 da, you're going to do this. This is why, this is how. And that power of belief and that accountability was so strong in my life. And so that's what I love to help other ladies do as well.
That's awesome. And
Yeah.
I love your honesty because always, there aren't a lot of honest people out here. Usually I'm the
Right.
honest one. And I love it
Right.
because I tell people all the time, and I don't care if you're a yoga instructor or anything, because I'm
Mhm.
not that person anymore. But I used to make fun of
Right.
what I didn't understand because it was being
Yes.
said to me to make fun of. My family has been making fun of holistic tree hugging people since I can remember, because I
Hmm.
was born in Texas. And if you remember Saturday Night Live, Stuart Smalley, I remember my parents used to
Yeah.
say, I'm
I
great,
do.
and gosh darn it, people really like
Yeah.
me. And that was a running joke for my whole life. So how do I expect to ever, I could never wrap my brain around it. And at
Hmm.
some point I went into being an atheist because the Christian side I didn't understand that. I tried Catholic, I tried Protestant, I tried every part of
Right.
it.
Right.
And then I finally I tried everything. And then I tried to
Hmm.
understand, what is this logic? And your brain is not, it's like you're closed off. The universe closes you off until you're able to understand this information. Because
Right.
now I'm opened up. Now I'm a vegetarian, almost a
Hmm.
vegan, but I like eggs. So sue me.
Right.
And but I don't smoke, I don't do things that I used to do, and it's because I finally have purged them out. And I always say I have become everything I've made fun of. So
Hmm.
because my angels wanted me to learn, because I'm a light worker. I'm not just here to waste my time. I'm here to teach people, and that's what we
Yeah.
don't understand, is we're supposed to come here and teach people. And I was watching a show called Spiritual Awakening on Amazon Prime, and they were given a dissertation about our bodies, and they said
Hmm.
we only use there's 96% of our DNA that is
Yeah.
beyond human comprehension, and that's just
I believe it.
crazy. And then that 3 or 4% is light body that can only be activated through meditation. And
Hmm.
meditation, because that's why I also have this platform, is to help people that have a mentality like you and myself, like, why are you talking over my head? Just tell me how to do it. Well, did you know
Right.
if you write, writing is a form of meditation.
Hmm.
So Christians do your devotionals. That's a lot of Christians do devotionals, and that is a
Right.
form of meditation. I found out meditation is simply sitting there and connecting to your higher self and going
Hmm.
within. And the reason why most of us can't do that, because when you first start out, you're not going to be able to just sit there, if you've been through a lot of abuse and trauma, and just quietly hum. It doesn't work. But if you do like
Right.
a puzzle or something like that, art.
Right. 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 That is so true.
What does your journey look like now that you've taken back your power from the toxic shadows and its inhabitants? And if you can kind of just uh, allude a little bit more on how you got your business started.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can talk about how I got my business started. So with that, so I told you I moved back to Pensacola at 30, said I'd never be back. So I ended up moving back and I got back into doing what I knew how to do, not drug dealing, but it was waiting tables and bartending. Like I had always did that. Even though I was selling drugs, I always just have always had a hustling type mentality. So I went back to waiting tables and bartending, and I was going through a really bad depression at that time because everything really did hit me. I'm the oldest sibling. I'm the one that's failing, if you will. I just got out of a bad breakup. I was selling drugs. I didn't graduate college. And like I said, my sisters are all in medical. My brother, he's the youngest at that time. He wasn't barber, but he's an entrepreneur. Mom and dad are medical. And here I am. I'm just don't know what I want to do for the rest of my life at 30. So that really hit me. I got in a really bad place with my self-esteem, my self-confidence, and I've never been that person. I've always been like the loud, the funny, the motivator, the leader out of the group, and I became very shy. I didn't want to talk to people. I didn't want people to look at me. I hit my heaviest weight. I had got up to 300 pounds, and I just did not feel good about myself. And so I started kind of working out, which is what everybody else do. They hit a heavy weight. And so they're like, all right, let's go to the gym. So I went to the gym and I was like, yeah, this ain't my jam. I was like, I was like, I don't like this because, at that point, my confidence was already low, but I know that us as women, we can be hard on ourselves. So I felt like a lot of other women do. You feel like everybody's looking at you, they're judging you. So I didn't want to go. And so I was like, I wish there was something fun that I could do. So I knew when I stayed in bigger cities that they had like a burlesque cardio or like pole fitness because I needed something more than just the gym, but something that would boost my confidence, something that would make me feel good about my body again because my body was looking like it had never looked before at its heaviest weight, and I thought that would be fun. So they didn't have one here in the area in Pensacola, Florida. And so, like I mentioned, I've always just had a hustling mentality. I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit. And so I was like, these pole studios and burlesque studios are big everywhere else, and I was like, there's not one here. I'm sure I'm not the only one that wants to build up their confidence, feel good about themselves, work on their body image, and have a good workout. And so I reached out to my friend. She's a certified Zumba instructor. We started doing burlesque cardio. Then that's when I started working out myself and yoga. I started falling in love with yoga. Where did that come from? I have no idea because I never thought I'd be the girl that would do yoga. And then not only did I go to yoga, my first class was a hot yoga class. What did I do that for? But I tell people, it definitely pushed me in that yoga class, but I don't know what happened in Shavasana at the end, but I literally just started bawling. Like something really transformed in that class for me. And I just started crying there, and I felt like I was releasing a lot of stuff that was built up inside of me over the years. And so with that, I wanted to share this with other women. So I got certified for yoga. I started doing yoga. We started doing burlesque cardio. Then other ladies wanted to start teaching classes. I was blessed to have a lady who co-owned a studio in Colorado, a pole studio, come down and do our vertical pole fitness classes. So we started offering that. And out of the years, I've been in business almost 7 years now with my studio. The one thing I kept getting out of was I love how it's motivating these women. It's empowering these women. Women would come to me and they would ask me, how did I get from one weight till now? Or they would tell me how they didn't like their body image. And I would tell them, well, this is what I did to get over it. I started, and they'd come back and say, oh, thank you. That helped me out so much. And then I was really loving that. I was like, I like this feeling of helping these ladies out. And everything just like you mentioned, is present to you when the opportunity is right. And I started networking with different local groups, and I was talking to someone about it, and she said, have you ever thought about coaching? And I was like, no, what is coaching? And so she told me what coaching was, and I was like, shut the front door. That's what I've been doing with the ladies at the studio. Because we had got to a point, our classes are small, and because of the classes we had with vertical pole fitness and burlesque cardio, I saw it being a pattern that ladies weren't coming in really. They did want to lose weight and have fun, but most of them were coming in to work on confidence issues, on body image issues. A lot of ladies came in, they were sexually abused in the past, and they needed to find out how they could be okay with their body and get that back. And I've always had this personality where they opened up to me and I would coach them on it. And then they'd come back and tell me how much it helped. And I was like, just like I said, I like this. They mentioned the coaching, and then I got certified through ICF and it's the International Coaching Federation. So I started my coaching business, and then I started motivational speaking and doing my book. And over the years, 4 years later, here I am.
That's pretty amazing though, because you look back and you're like, wow, how did the time fly,
Yeah.
And then you're
Yes,
like,
girl.
why you always ask yourself, why did I take so long to get here? Because happiness and joy. I interviewed a guest yesterday and she was talking about joy and happiness, the
Hmm.
difference. And happiness is something that can be obtained through material possessions or, getting
Hmm.
that I got the job or whatever, but joy can actually be obtained through just sitting here and going, I'm happy. And it's really awesome that you know about the power of gratitude because
Hmm.
I'm a very big believer of law of attraction and I'm a mindset coach.
Yes.
I love to, that's my favorite thing to go on about, how to use the law of attraction with people because we're
Hmm.
so taught that we have to work. I've learned our mentality is to work hard. And I've always said work smarter, not harder. And it's not because I'm lazy, it's because I've been a medical assistant. I believe that if you touch a paper, it should be touched once. You should
Hmm.
not continuously go back and touch a patient like a file. So when you go
Yeah.
through that file, you should do your file and then it should be done. And that's where most business people, coaches even get caught up in the problem of you go through perfectionism. So if you get up in your head, you start thinking, oh, and I read articles and it's funny that if I start getting on that trend, my angels will come and pop over and be like, I'll see these articles of, doesn't matter what it looks like, just get your product out there. I'm like, yes, sir, because I have a book and I've been telling everybody I'm
Yeah.
going to write a book for years. And I finally actually sat down the other day and I have 4 pages, about 4 or 5 pages of my book written. And I'm like,
Very
holy
good.
cow, it finally flowed out of me. And it's not like, because I was like, how do I write this book? Because I have all this stuff in my head, but how do you put it? Because I don't want to just
Right.
have something just for the sake of having it. I want people to
Right.
be like, I guess that's my ego. Hey, I want this to, this is the coolest thing I've ever read. Holy cow, I'm so glad I have
Right.
this. But that's my opinion of all my work.
Yeah. And I will tell you the message, once it gets out there, those right people will see it. We can be our worst critics. That is so, so true. And that's one thing I really do help a lot of ladies do. I'm like, just get it out there, just be authentic with whatever your message is, and you'll never fail. Like there's never perfect. Be authentic with your why. Just get the message out there. And the person that needed to hear that, they'll hear it and it'll resonate with them just the way that you said you wanted it to.
Very,
So,
very,
yes,
very
girlfriend.
true. And I always ask my angels, it's not about quantity. It's always been about quality. So
Hmm.
that's why I don't do a lot. That's why I do podcasts now, because if I'm going to speak, I feel like it should be meaningful. I shouldn't just have
Yeah.
9,000 videos of me speaking and nobody's watching them, because everybody's attention span is like 20 seconds. Okay, I'm
Right.
enlightened. And you're like, hmm. So
Right.
what are you currently, what is big in your world right now that you're currently working on that you would like our audience to know about? Any coaching program specials, or with your fitness, or what's your biggest project that you'd like people to know about?
Well, the biggest thing that I'm working on right now, which I'm super excited, is Egypt. I'm going to Egypt in a couple of weeks. I'm so excited about that.
That's
um,
awesome.
Yes, so I also host women empowerment retreats. And so I'm taking a group of 10 ladies over there, and we are going to Egypt in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
So just to let you, the listeners, know that I'm doing Bali in October. If you're interested in that, that's the Relax, Reset, Renew Women's Empowerment Retreat. I'd love to have you. So that's what I'm doing with my coaching right now. And then I also run a program called Confidence Clients and Cash Flow. Um, so within that program, kind of over the years, I did start off as a body image and confidence coach because that's what I had overcome. That's what I was helping people out with anyways, and that's where I was comfortable. And over the years it kind of transitioned to, how did you start? People would ask, how did you start your studio? How did you start coaching? How did you start your retreats? How did you start speaking? And then that's how it kind of shifted to empowerment coaching, business coaching. So I do run a program called Confidence Clients and Cash Flow, but I am very big. The very first thing that I start off with, and I think that sets my program apart from others, is I am very big on working on the confidence, the mindset, the power of belief, and letting go of those limiting beliefs. Because I always say you can have all the funnels and buy all the courses and do all those things, but if you absolutely don't believe in yourself that you can do it, once it's time to get in front of the camera and do all the things, you'll kind of shut down. So I do start off with that. So that's a program that I run with that. And then if y'all are ever in the Pensacola, Florida area, Beautiful You Studio is the name of my studio here. Come and check us out.
Nice. I
Yes,
love, I love your whole spirit, and I love that you came here today to share your journey and all your elements. I'm so excited for you. We're gonna have to uh, keep us updated about your trip to Egypt, because that's an amazing
absolutely.
journey. That's an amazing. So, what guidance would you give fellow beautiful souls out there that are doing a similar toxic dance? What would be your guidance to help them, either get enough courage to say, hey, you're better than living this way and you don't have to do this? Or, just
Right.
simply not feeling bad, because a lot of times people go through this at a really young age, and then say you went to jail. And I think the incarceration system is a whole nother, that's a
Girl, I
whole
could go
nother
on
episode.
and on. I could
Because
go on and on about that one there.
my biggest thing is, my brother went to jail when he was 21, and his angels loved him because they only put him in there for like 3 or 4 years, and he was getting the book
Yeah.
thrown at him at the beginning. But he the thing is you come out, you've been caged like an animal. How do you that's my first biggest thing, is I have
Yes.
friends, you've been caged like an animal, like, I'm mad at you, I'm going to lock you in a cage. Well, that's what you do if you're a bad pet owner. And why are we doing
Right.
this to humans? But anyways, I'm getting a little off because it's a whole nother episode. But
I totally agree with you on that. And then I say, and then you release them out in the world for like five, after 5, 10 years, but they've been
and they
locked in a
go
room.
burn someone, they light them on fire because they got in a bar fight.
Right.
Because what do you expect? I mean, I just don't understand. But what do you give people that need hope and courage to say, hey, you know what? It doesn't matter if you were born in less than optimal circumstances. You can be whatever you want to be, and you can definitely get rid of your toxic partner.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, my thing is definitely, of course, just as much as you possibly can to remove yourself from that situation. And to get around some type of, you've got to find some type of support, whether it's a mentor, whether it's a good friend, whether it is somebody that can just, that you look up to that can actually help you with that. You are going to have to surround yourself with that and definitely work on the mindset and stuff like definitely removing yourself from the toxic relationship. Get as far away from it as you possibly can. Find you some type of mentor or somebody that can help you, a good friend, somebody that you look up to that is not doing the things that you are currently doing. So you definitely have to make sure that they are in, different environment. And then find you a big why. So I am big on that. What is your why? Why are you here? Is it for your family? Is it for your friends? Is it for yourself? And that's what has got to pull you through a lot of things, and my big why is just having women just believe in themselves. And so that's why I continuously do and continuously grow and in all aspects of my life. So I would definitely say find that why. Is it your kids? Is it whoever helping the next woman get out of the toxic relationship? And lead with that. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. And
Yes,
I
I
really,
appreciate you for having me.
I love having you here, and I love it's very important to know that you are the creator of your own circumstances, and you'll start noticing that if you don't like something, you can simply change it. But
Hmm.
you got to get that courageous. The only thing holding us back is fear, and it's usually our own fears.
Right. And my thing with fear, I always say, for your audience who's listening, my acronym for fear is false evidence appearing real. So we always have that in our heads, like, I'm not good enough. I wasn't born with money. I don't have support. I used to scream all of these all the time. So I'm so familiar with it. Nobody helps me out. I didn't graduate college. I was sexually abused here, whatever the case may be. So I was always screaming that I was not good enough. And that was really just fear holding me back, because even though I had that story, I could still overcome that. I could still be strong. And that false evidence is what holds a lot of people back. So that's why I say one of the biggest things for me in changing myself was getting around a mentor who truly believed in me. And that's why I said, in order to get out of that toxic relationship or to start over, is you have to find somebody that really does believe in you and wants the best for you, and really surround yourself with that person as much as possible.
Very true. And just like
Hmm.
Joel Olstein's song and Slim Thug, yeah, what a combination, right?
Right.
The right people. And he says, how do you expect to soar with eagles if you're sitting with pigeons?
Right, exactly. That is oh so true. That's what I say. You know that old saying, you hang out with five broke people or four broke people, you'll be the fifth. It's the same thing with anything else in your life. So you have to surround yourself with people that are doing better, or somebody, just like I said, that believes in you and is motivating and inspiring, and that's what you want to be around.
Very, very true. And thank you so much. And if you could just tell our listeners where they can reach you, their links are all going to be in the bottom as well.
Yes, I am on Facebook. You can find me on my Facebook group. It's Be You with Mia Coaching. It's all one word. You're also able to send me an email. It's beyoumwithmia.lifecoach@gmail.com. And then I do have my book. It's How to Discover Your Life's Purpose After 30. What the fudge am I here for? And that's available on Amazon, and it'll give you the link over to me as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. I wish you a
Yeah.
lot of success in your next 40 years.
All right, Jess, I really do appreciate it. And you keep up all the good work empowering women with this podcast, girlfriend.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. That means a lot. So,
Yes.
well, there you have it, beautiful souls. Another powerful guest that has learned to survive their swim in the toxic waters and break up with their toxic dance partner, fear. If you need help trying to find a new dance partner, please reach out to myself or Mia on the show today and let us show you how a single four-letter can change your life. And that four-letter word is love. With love, all things are possible. Thank you so much for tuning in today to another episode of Dancing in the Toxic Shadows. Until we meet again, this is Just Intuitive Angel Healer sending healing angel vibes. Love and light, everybody. Take care.
Hey, everybody.